Hello and welcome to the All About the Bible YouTube channel. My name is Kosi and I make Bible-related videos here on YouTube. Today we look at the interesting life of a prominent man in the Bible named David. We'll start off with David's background. David was born into a large family. He had 6 older brothers named Eliab, Abinadab, Shema, Nathaniel, Radai, and Ozem. In addition to that, he had 2 sisters named Zeruiah and Abigail. Although David's mother is unknown, we do know that his father was Jesse, and Jesse's father was Obed, and Obed's father was Boaz. Boaz was married to that faithful, loyal Moabite woman named Ruth, who has an entire book in the Bible dedicated to her. Furthermore, David was from the tribe of Judah. Now onto his early life. David was a faithful shepherd who took care of his father's flock in the wilderness. He even fought with a bear and a lion to save his sheep. His experiences as a shepherd was one of the main sources of inspiration to Psalms like Psalm 23. Now, after King Saul had offended God, God said he would give the kingdom over to a man after his own heart. That man was David. So the prophet Samuel one day was sent by God to go visit David's house. And initially he thought that Israel's future king would be one of the brothers of David. But no, it was the youngest one, David. It was him. He was destined to be Israel's next king. It is also worthy to mention that David was a skillful player of the kinnor. It's an instrument that's quite similar to the harp. In fact, he was called to play for Saul after he'd been inflicted with an evil spirit as a result of disobeying God. Now, this was an amazing ancient example of music therapy, because anytime David played, suddenly that evil spirit in Saul was silenced. It wasn't only David's expertise in the kinnor, by the way, it was also God's spirit in him. Because only God's presence can silence any evil spirit. Later on, the Philistines came to war against Israel with their seemingly undefeatable giant called Goliath. He deeply frightened the Israelites, including David's 3 oldest brothers that were part of the army. So one day, David was sent by his father to go see how his brothers were doing, and around the same time he arrived, this uncircumcised Philistine, in the words of David, was defying the armies of the living God. David expressed his feelings of anger and he was upset, but he was rather down-talked by his older brother Eliab. Notwithstanding, he didn't let that stop him. He continued persisting until he found himself in the battlefield with Goliath alone. Yes, with no shield or sword, no spear or javelin, and no helmet. Only a sling and 5 stones. But wait, there's more to it. He also had faith in no one else but God. And he had awareness as well that the battle belonged to God. He had that knowledge that God didn't need a spear or sword to win. So David, being filled with the Spirit of God, slung a stone that was divinely directed by the Spirit of God and sunk into Goliath's head. And here's the thing, he didn't fall backwards, he fell forward. It was as though he was bowing to that very God of Israel that he once trash-talked. Now the Philistines saw this and began to running for their lives as they were being chased by the Israelite army. Here was their problem. They put their trust in a human being, and that human being failed them woefully. On the other hand, the Israelites, or perhaps I should say only David, put his trust in God, and God did not fail him. David didn't allow those natural feelings of anxiety and doubt to overtake him at once. Instead, he was filled with grace from God. Now you'd imagine that everyone in Israel was celebrating David's victory, but there was one particular person who was quite bitter about it, and we'll find out more about that in next week's video, which will be the part 2 of this video. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified when that video comes out. You do not want to miss it. Don't forget to also like and share this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in part 2.